Hi, I'm Annie with Miserable Cow Coaching. You can find my contact info in the description. So today I'm going to talk about nutritional habits. There was a recent minor disagreement between my partner and I about my diet. Diet's actually a common thing that we've disagreed about over the years. I've experimented with a lot of different diets in my life, and I've been very disciplined about it. A lot of experimentation to finally arrive at the understanding that a ketogenic diet just works best for me. It's not right for everyone, but it just works really well with my body. Once I was raw vegan for 3 years, and my partner really didn't care for that much. So I was eating a lot of raw fruits and vegetables like raw zucchini, a lot of spinach, bananas, peaches, whatever fruit was in season. During that time, I asked him, if you hired a prostitute for an hour, what would you do with her? And he said, I'd take her out to lunch and eat a damn hamburger with her. Because he was so frustrated that I wasn't eating a hamburger with him. As it turns out, at 5'1" on that raw vegan diet, I reached my highest weight ever. I weighed 140 pounds. Just to put that in perspective, I weigh 113 right now. So that's astonishing. I'm actually really surprised that I was able to achieve that super high weight on a raw vegan diet, because I've seen it really work well for other people that, they reach a really lean weight and feel great, feel amazing. On that diet, I felt pretty good, but I just kept gaining weight and I couldn't take it anymore. I was also creeping towards pre-diabetic numbers and my cholesterol ratio was terrible. My triglycerides obviously were off the chart because I was overweight. And it sounds counterintuitive, but a lot of people with high cholesterol or poor cholesterol ratio actually improve their numbers by going on a low-carb diet. This kind of goes against conventional wisdom because people tend to think eating dietary fat equals high cholesterol. That's really just not how it works. So there's kind of a paradoxical effect that if you have a high-fat diet, many people will achieve much better total cholesterol and the ratio also will improve, and that's what happened to me. And then also the blood sugar issues just totally went away. I'm no longer creeping up into that pre-diabetic range, and my blood work looks awesome. I kind of geek out on the physiological effects of various diets, but I'm not here to tell anyone what kind of diet to eat. That's your business. Furthermore, people who are self-righteous about diet can suck a big fat kielbasa or banana, whichever they prefer. So about 95% of the time, I have a really low-carb diet. That extra 5% is reserved for special occasions. So on my birthday, I usually eat sushi rolls. I also do Thanksgiving and Christmas, maybe something in the summer, 4th of July maybe, have a little ice cream. So we just had Thanksgiving last week and I fully participated and ate all the things. It tastes good. I feel really nostalgic about it, but it does make me jittery. It makes me a little anxious and jittery and it makes my heart race. And then I experience a little bit of inflammation in the following days after eating anything with gluten in it or just different grains or high sugar content. So I usually eat on Thanksgiving and then of course leftovers the day after. And then I go right back to ketogenic, and then just within a few days things even out and I, start to feel normal again. My body adapts really easily and it's not a big deal. Here's a fun thing though. So the morning of Thanksgiving, before I ate the meal with my family that evening, I weighed 113 pounds. I weighed again the next day, just as an experiment, after eating the Thanksgiving meal, 116.5. That would freak some people out, but it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. That's all water weight. It's not a big deal, not something that I freak out about. So anyway, my partner is critical of this tendency of mine to be kind of rigid and disciplined about a diet, but then go off of it for one day, for Christmas or birthday or something like that. He thinks that it's hypocritical. I don't see it that way at all. I don't think it's hypocritical. I think it's strategy. Your results come from what you do 80 or 90% of the time. Small aberrations that you do here and there, they don't detract from your success really. It's really about what you do most of the time. Little treats and aberrations, that's not really where your success is coming from. So I've heard Mark Sisson talk about this before too. He's the guy that wrote Primal Endurance. So he's like a low carb keto guy. If you're curious about the physiology of the ketogenic diet, I think his books are really amazing. It really gets into, what's going on in the body when you consume carbs versus consume fat. I find it fascinating. He talked about this before. You know, people will see him at Thanksgiving like, ooh, I saw Mark Sisson eating pumpkin pie. He's a charlatan. And I mean, that's just stupid. The diet for him is not even really a conscious habit at this point. It's like a way of life. I mean, you just do it so long. It's not like you're trying or exerting significant self-discipline in order to do that. It's just what you get up and do every day. So for him, he talks about it if he does some kind of holiday meal, he just can go right back and his body adapts right back because the habit is so solidified. And that's pretty much how I feel about a ketogenic diet as well. I stick to it 95% of the time. I also do a lot of intermittent fasting and I don't even think about it. A while back, I thought like, oh, I want to do some intermittent fasting. But then I thought about like when I finish eating dinner and then when I eat my next meal the next day, and I'm already doing it. I mean, I could widen that window and play around with that just to see how I feel, see what the results are, but it's just natural. I did the habit phase and the self-discipline phase for long enough that discipline is no longer required. It's just how I live. And I think this principle applies to other things. Like if your goal is to exercise 6 days a week, but you have an off week, that's not a big deal as long as you're mostly sticking to that plan. And so apply this to any habit. And of course it can be hypocritical. Like if you are all in on a vegan diet and you're shouting it from the rooftops and you're doing it for moral reasons, but then you like sneak off and eat a bunch of hamburgers at midnight when you think no one's watching, then yeah, that's hypocritical because you were self-righteous about it and then you went back on your word. But if you are a vegan and you're doing this, like for environmental reasons, you want to really cut down on your meat consumption, kudos to you. I admire that. But say you want to do that to reduce consumption of meat, but then every once in a while you want to give yourself the leeway. Like, well, I love salmon, so every once in a while I would like to have some salmon. That's not hypocritical. That's just being intentional. You have made an intentional choice about your diet. There's a distinction there. I will say though, if it's a new habit or if you don't have a great track record of being self-disciplined in your habits, then it is a really good idea to stick to something for a good length of time before you start making exceptions. So for example, if someone wants to embark on a vegan diet in the new year, so they get excited about it, they do all the research and they start, eating the vegan foods, but there's sort of an adjustment period and they don't feel so good. And so then they cave in and they have, one of their favorite old snacks that they feel nostalgic for. If you don't have a good track record of sticking to that habit and you allow yourself to make exceptions before the habit is established, then I think that's where people can get into trouble. And then also with really extreme deprivation diets. Oh my God, don't do it. Anybody. It doesn't matter how self-disciplined you are. If you starve yourself, you will snap and swing in the other direction. And I know someone who does this repeatedly, going on an extreme deprivation and then maybe goes to a birthday party, there's some birthday cake and some ice cream, and then it just spirals into like fiendishly binging crap. Pretty much anyone is susceptible to that. Like I said, regardless of how disciplined you are, if you starve yourself, you will snap and swing in the other direction. It happens to everybody. So I think in most cases, a moderate approach is appropriate. It's the approach that works in the long run. And I also think that your results come from what you do 90, 80, 90, 95% of the time. The small exceptions don't matter. Just be intentional about them. I am going to have ice cream on my birthday because I decided. So then you're in control. You're living your life intentionally. It's not a matter of you going against yourself and then feeling guilty and feeling bad about it. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, my partner and his stupid ideas about diet, whatever, he can suck it. We do eat hamburgers together now. We had hamburgers last night. We usually have hamburgers once a month. We buy local beef, so it's kind of expensive to get meats locally, but we do have hamburgers once a month. I wrap it up in a collard green. So we grow these really big collard collard greens in our backyard, you know, when they're in season, when we have them in our greenhouse. I put all the same stuff on the burger, you know, cheese, bacon. I even use a kind of barbecue sauce that has no added sugar. So it has like prunes in it or something. So it has like maybe some fruit sugar, but the total carb is only like 2 or 3 grams because I'm just using like less than a tablespoon of barbecue sauce. And then I just wrap it all up in some collard greens that are lightly steamed and make a sandwich. It's perfect. And now he feels like he's eating a hamburger with me, and apparently that's really sexy to him. Anyway, those are my thoughts on nutrition and habits. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. Talk to you next time.